It's actually, we're trying to figure that out. It was introduced to be new business at our last meeting on November 22nd. And because of what has happened, because our meeting took so long, it never took place. We never got a full discussion about it. And then where we were being hosted at, they closed the doors, and so we had to leave. And so the executive committee had an emergency meeting to decide on these resolutions that were supposed to go put in front of the board on that day. And so they came back with their decisions today. And as you saw when it's in this meeting, that some things were timely mannered. That's why they had an emergency session, because when you put out the economic development for the liquor licenses, you only have 30 days to have a response. So the executive committee had to meet and make decisions on our behalf for that. The other two resolutions, as we learned today, they didn't have to do that. They should have gone through the whole process, of which I'm in favor of. I myself am a very pro-democracy, popular education, grassroots, organic, bottom-up type of organizer. So no matter how hard and painful it is to come to consensus, I think they should always be presented to the full board, to the community, so that people understand what is happening, what are the decisions that we're making as a civic body for this neighborhood. I mean, what we say actually does matter. As often as people like to minimize the role of the community boards, in my few years that I've been here, I really came to understand just how powerful we really are. And so it is very important to bring these very important social, political, and economic issues to the full community before we make a decision on it. And I voted to table it for January, not because we want to reject it. I said I want to improve upon it, bring in more stakeholders who have more information, get more of the community involved to speak on this issue, so that when we come as a community board to make a resolution, it's something meaningful and people understand what we're putting before the city the city government and what we're supporting.
Can you tell me a little bit about the resolution too?
As I said, this has all been very mixed up. So part of it was because the family of Mr. Collado came and they wanted to seek support from the community board to, denounce the action of the undercover police that unfairly killed them. And Idanis Rodriguez, also as our city council member, before he was a city council person, he was a very active anti-police brutality organizer. So it was just a strange realm with the Occupy Wall Street movement, with this whole movement that's being, just the environment right now is a lot of people are rising up and taking a position on these hard issues that have for too many years lay dormant or have been kept hush by other administrations, and now there's opportunities in place for people to take a stand and make a voice. And what happened is, it was right, the intention was right, the language is a little bit confusing. Steve Simon, his position about it not being appropriate and timely in light of the fact that a police officer was just killed, speaks to how things are just not right. It wasn't clear enough to really put out what we really mean, what we're really standing behind. It was confusing, so that's why I voted to table it and redo it for January 1st. So we have a clear message about why we're supporting Intro 72, what specific powers we want to support for the CCRB, and not just making a reactionary resolution that seems to come from Community Board 12. There was an incident this past summer where up in this neighborhood, a man was killed by a police officer because the cop thought he was involved in another robbery with a guy that was standing next to him.
He intervened in.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
And he did, because he was undercover. He did not know that he was a police officer. He tried to break up a fight, and the police officer killed him. And so, that just seemed kind of a senseless death, especially when an undercover cop should be much more careful about pulling out the gun, because if you're not identifiable, people are going to fight with you harder if you're fighting back. So it just speaks to a lot of issues about how poorly our police officers are trained in this community to deal with conflict and tension, especially in an extremely depressed community where people are really not working, they're upset, they're tight, they're strapped, cash strapped, job strapped. And so the resolution just came out of one of our members really wanting to support the family, and then And it was, it was a lot of a good intention behind that resolution. But in January, we're going to make it stronger so that it has real position on what is exactly how we want to empower the CCRB. And that's the type of resolutions I want to keep pushing forward. Like, we want to support the CCRB. We want to empower them with this power, away from the mayor, away from the commissioner. They can have their own independent council. Like, I want that type of language. That, because the CCRB, they're supposed to be an independent body. I've been working on that issue for 15 years, so I have a little bit of knowledge about, saying how we want to empower the CCRB, how it's fruitless. I want to, but there is language that has been developed by the community about what are the specifics about what does that power really mean, how can the CCRB be truly independent, and we want to reflect that in the next resolution. What does autonomy really mean for the CCRB? Very specific on our terms.